Hello folks, welcome to the canal channel Jose. Today we're going to give you an idea how you can replace a car battery on your car without this programming the computer. Sometimes the new cars, they come in with so many computers integrated into the system that they need that power just like we do on oxygen so they can keep themselves programmed. So what happens sometimes, some brands or some cars, when you disconnect the battery, even if there's so much little voltage, is still getting a signal just to keep the computer programmed. So when you do it and disconnect the battery and then you connect a new one, what it does, you punch it. It's like giving it a punch and telling it wake up. And the computer, what it does, it thinks it's being stolen. So the computer or the car locks itself so you cannot drive it away. Then you gotta call the dealer or the manufacturer, unlock your car so you can get it back on the road, and that can cost you a big headache. So today we're gonna show you what you can do, basic stuff at home or in the shop, so you can keep that computer program while you do your battery replacement. With that said, let's get started. Okay folks, so what you want to do before you start taking this battery apart or taking it disconnecting this battery, what you want to do is have your battery that you're going to replace it with next to it, ready to go. You don't want to be going into the store or going to a place, so you can give some time for a computer to this program itself or lock itself. So you want to make sure you got that battery next to it, ready to go. So you undo your brackets, and then we'll undo the cables, and then that's why we want to have the battery right next to it. But what do you want to do also other than this? So what you want to do is you want to get you a 12-volt battery. It doesn't matter if it's big or small. And what you want to do is you want to put the positive and the negative the right way with one of these adapters that can go in the cigarette lighter. And what you want to do is that you're doing like if you were charging your phone, but you're charging the car backwards into it. So this system sometimes only works when you open the key, so it sends power into the cigarette lighter. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to open the key, and instead of power coming this way, we're going to try to feed it backwards. So when we disconnect the battery up in the front, we got power flowing the opposite way, going into the switch and then distributing itself into the computer so they stay programmed. So once you got this going, let's go open the key and take the other battery apart. So now what we do is what we put our key in the ignition, and we just flip it to the point where the cigarette lighter will be energized. So that way we are actually allowing energy flowing backwards through the switch from the cigarette lighter, and then it's going to go and keep the system energized, so that way the computers get some of the juice and keep themselves functioning normally, so they don't disprogram themselves. So now what we can do is we go up to the battery, disconnect it, put a new one in, and then we can start putting everything back up. So that way this is just a backup for our computer system. So now we disconnected that negative, the positive, we can pull the battery out so we can put the new one in. So now what we do is before we start the new battery, want to use one of these guys. There's a wire brush on this side and wire brush on this side. This is for the post of the battery, and this is for the terminal of the battery of the connection, so you can clean inside. So before we put the new battery, we want to have a clean connection. That way we don't create any problems in the future or trying to avoid problems. So we clean both terminals. That way we can start with fresh and clean terminals. So now we have cleaned both terminals, but before we install the new battery, we're gonna test with the test light if there's power on these two connections from the battery feeding through the cigarette lighter. So we're gonna connect one terminal to one end, and then we're gonna test the other side and see if there's power. So now we just verified that there's power, so we wanted to expose that this method works to keep your computer functioning while you do this replacement. You just gotta be careful not to touch the positive into any ground area, because it'll be a short. So you want to be careful with this. So most cars are plastic now, but we want to make sure that this doesn't touch ground, because there's power being fed through the cigarette lighter backwards to keep the computers active. So before we start putting the connections back on, the terminals, connecting everything, we want to let you know that we use this connector protector, and this is for light bulbs, sockets, plugs, wires, connectors, sensors, and even terminals. So we use this, and it's one package should be enough for both terminals. So we add this so we don't lose or build up corrosion with the moist, and then we add the rings that can prevent any acid from building up on the terminals as well. So we add this and those rings, and then we connect up terminals. We have put the protector loop onto the terminals. We have put the positive and then the negative, tightening all, and then the sequence recommended to disconnect and connect the battery on a car is that you disconnect the negative first and then disconnect the positive. To connect the battery back up to the car, you connect the positive and then you connect the negative. So now we have installed a brand new battery. So what we have to do is we gotta turn off the switch, disconnect our cigarette lighter backup battery, and then we can turn on the car to see if there's any issues with it or everything went well. So now what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna turn off our switch, disconnect our cigarette lighter backup battery, and then we're gonna turn on the car to bring the main battery back on. So now right now we got power from both sides. So we turn off the key and then disconnect and start a car. And well, folks, hopefully this video was useful, and this can help you out in the next battery replacement of your car, or at least you can get an idea that you can do it at home without damaging or disprogramming the computer. You just want to be careful that when you are doing this procedure, if you got some power backup in the system, you want to make sure that the terminals, when you disconnect the battery, they don't touch each other, or the positive don't touch ground, because then you got a possibility for a short. So you don't want to do that. You want to be careful. You just want to treat it like if there was a battery connected to the system on these terminals. So you don't want to cross positive and negative. That can be a big problem. So you want to be careful. But this can be done, and you just got to understand that there's possibilities of backfeeding power into the car using other areas other than just the battery connection. So you can do it from a light bulb, from a headlight. You can backfeed the car. So all you got to understand is that the electricity can flow from anywhere on the car, and it can reach all parts of the car, but you just got to understand when that's happening. So that's very helpful. So with that said, for folks who are watching our video and haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe. If you like our video, give us thumbs up, share it, and we'll see you soon with more videos here on el canal El Chano Jose.